In 1977, in the American city of Eugene, a 20-year-old girl received a call from a friend telling her that they were throwing a birthday party for him, and he had to come. A girl agreed and headed to his friend's house. This would be the last time she saw the sun for years. Colleen Stan's story is very terrifying and sad. This case was described in the FBI as a case without parallel. Before we start the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Colleen Stan, as we said, received a call from his girlfriend that she was attending a birthday party. Colleen went, but he didn't have a car, so she decided to ride in the car to attend a friend's party and was wandering along Interstate 5 looking for someone to drive her. When 23-year-old Hooker and his 19-year-old wife stopped, Stan felt reassured by the presence of Janice and the baby, and she happily agreed. However, once they stopped on the side of the road, Cameron threatened Stan with a knife and locked her in a wooden head box he had designed and kept in his car. Hooker kept the head box with him until they reached his house, after which he immediately tore Stan's clothes off and left her naked, blindfolded, and gagged. Over the next 7 years, Hooker subjected Stan to almost unbelievable torture. She was whipped, electrocuted, and, despite Janice's initial objections, raped. While Cameron worked during the day, Stan was tied up in a coffin-like box under the couple's bed. Cameron had Janice write a slavery contract for Colleen to sign. After signing the contract, which stipulated that she would be referred to only as K, and that Cameron and Janice would be referred to as Mr. and Mrs., Stan was gradually granted more freedom. Although she continued to spend most of her days, sometimes up to 23 hours a day, locked in the box under the couple's bed, Janice reportedly gave birth to her second child on the bed Colleen was locked under. The couple had 2 young daughters who did not realize that Stan was being held against her will and did not even know she was living in the house. For an hour or 2 a day, the girl in the box would clean the house and look after the children. Whenever I was taken out of the box, I didn't know what to expect, Stan said. The fear of the unknown was always with me as I was kept in the dark, both physically and mentally. Despite being constantly beaten and raped, Stan did not consider her torture to be the worst part of her confinement. What truly terrified her was Cameron's claim that he was a member of a satanic organization called The Company. She was told that The Company was a powerful organization that was monitoring her and had placed listening devices in her family's home, and that if she tried to escape, his associates would find her and kill her family. Stan eventually became so brainwashed that Hooker allowed her to visit her parents and introduce him as her lover, though she would then be returned to the box immediately. In 1984, Cameron Hooker ran for the last time. Confident that he had complete control over the 2 women in his home, he told Janice that he would take Kay as his second wife. For Janice, this was the turning point. She quickly confessed some details of her marital status to her pastor, who urged her to stay away. In April of that year, Janice confessed to Stan that Cameron was not a member of the Dark Company, and together they fled. Stan called Cameron to tell him she was gone, and he allegedly cried. A few months later, Janice reported Cameron to the police. Cameron Hooker finally faced justice for his crimes. Both Janice and Stan appeared in court. They gave emotional testimonies recounting the abuse they suffered at the hands of the accused. Janice even admitted that her husband had tortured and murdered another girl, Mary Elizabeth Sponhack, in 1976. Cameron's defense team tried hard to exploit Stan's compliance with Hooker's demands. His attorneys argued that although Hooker had indeed kidnapped Stan, the sexual acts were consensual and should not be considered a crime. Hooker himself took the stand and claimed that his actions were far less violent than the women described. The defense team even brought in a psychologist who tried to argue that the brutality Stan was actually subjected to was not much different from the training that new Navy recruits undergo on a daily basis, but the judge immediately blocked that argument. Colleen Stan suffered from chronic back and shoulder pain as a result of her confinement. When she returned home, she received comprehensive treatment, eventually married, and had a daughter. She joined an organization committed to helping battered women and earned a degree in accounting. Colleen Stan and Janice Hooker changed their names and continued to live in California. However, They do not communicate with each other. The jury took 3 days to deliberate before finding Hooker guilty on 7 of 8 counts, including kidnapping and rape. He received a series of sentences totaling 104 years in prison. After announcing the verdict, the judge made a notable personal statement. The judge personally thanked the jury for rejecting the defense psychiatrist's claims and then declared Cameron Hooker the most dangerous psychopath I have ever dealt with. He will be a danger to women as long as he lives. Hooker attempted to appeal the verdict, citing the judge's poignant comments, among other issues. The appeals were dismissed by the Court of Appeal. Hooker has been in prison since 1985. In 2015, Hooker, now 61, applied for parole under California's geriatric release program, but was again denied and is still serving his 100-year sentence. Regarding her resilience during her years of torture in captivity, Stan told reporters, "I learned that I can go anywhere in my mind. You just remove yourself from the real situation that's going on and go somewhere else." A TV movie about Stan's story, The Girl in the Box, was produced in 2016, and Colleen has appeared on several TV shows telling her story.
He was having such a hard time breathing. For his help, and just said, please. I just felt so broken and so violated.
Here we come to the end of a story that I hope you liked. Don't forget to like and subscribe.